Welcome everyone to another session with Build with Ben, where today we're going to be focusing on something that I've had a bit of problem with in terms of managing content and needing to update my personal site with particularly a resources page that allows people to easily find things like as far as like the recordings and that kind of thing. And so I know that in previous episode we've talked about like using Airtable to do that, and to be honest, I actually found Airtable to be a little bit harder to use as time went on. Like it's just a little bit clunkier, and then there's a bit of friction. And so, for those who follow me on as far as my productivity talks and that kind of thing, I'm a huge fan of Notion. And so I figured, what the heck, let's go all in. And we're going to go ahead and take what we've learned before in previous streams regarding Notion's API. We're going to bring that together into the site for Nuxt 2. And then, we're just going to go ahead and build that together. So let's go ahead and kick it off, shall we? All right, switching scenes. All right. So, all right. So the problem. Let's sort of map this out a little bit so that we can see. So what I had before was I was using Airtable to basically manage all of my data. So I had this inside of here. You see that I had like all my Build with Ben streams, and I was trying to figure out how to like coordinate the timing so that I would update with Google Calendar. But then over time it got even trickier because I was trying to do things like make sure that it would like, how do I make sure that it's updated with like the YouTube link and make sure that is all pulled in, and that was just getting rather tricky to do. And again, like Airtable is extremely powerful and there's a lot to like about it, but for me a lot of my power tools really lie in the Notion space and my sort of like expertise and what I've seen it able to do. So I figured, I think if I'm going to really start managing all the things as far as courses I've taught and that kind of thing, I want to do that in Notion. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring this up over here. And this is kind of what I've come up with. And so what I did was I went into Notion and created basically their version of a database. Which is basically, as you can see here, looks like a simple table where I have all like sort of the talks and courses that I've done that I was able to find within the span of like about an hour of research, and then start figuring out where the published URLs are. And so this I'm really familiar with because one, it has that Airtable-like functionality of like just editing a database via like a table. But then at the same time, I know that personally I can do a lot of different things to make this easier for myself to manage. So let's say, for example, I really wanted to look at this via like by platform. I could really just have like the group by here, group by platform. And you can see here, it's actually nice and easy as far as like displaying like, oh, okay, here's everything grouped by view mastery, front-end masters, Jamstack explorers, classrooms and that kind of thing. Or more importantly, if I wanted to just say, actually, I'm going to go ahead and switch that over to, I want to see what kind of types are available to me. I could easily see that, oh, here are all my courses. Here are like my Q&As, talks that I've given. And so it's nice in this regard. But while I could certainly just publish this page, right? There's nothing stopping me from doing that. I would like to kind of keep it into the theme of the website that I have. So ideally what I want to be able to do going forward is to say, hey, when people go to the Ben Code Zen page, they can go to something called like /resources. And then that way it gives me like the opportunity to go ahead and like share that. People can search through it. And it's a nice little fun project for us to build today. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So first thing first, now that we've gotten that set up, let's go ahead and talk about the Nuxt site and sort of how my site is currently being built. So, all right, so if you're looking for the repo, it's going to be under bencodezen /bencodezen. So let me go ahead and drop this in resources so I make sure to upload that later when we get the recording on YouTube. And inside of here, it's actually a standard Nuxt 2 project. I haven't done the full migration over to Nuxt 3 yet, just because there's some things that I'm doing in here regarding like serverless functions and stuff that I haven't totally figured out as far as how to make sure that works properly with Netlify and Nuxt 3. So that's on the way. But the moment I get that stuff figured out, you can bet that I'll be certainly moving my site over to Nuxt 3. All right, so let's go ahead and let's open it up, shall we? I'm going to open up my terminal. Let me see. Clear. All right, so let me bring this over here. All right, so cd bencodezen. All right, so let's go and open this up in VS Code. Boom. All right. So first thing first, let's go ahead and just start up our local dev environment, shall we? So I'm going to bring this over 2/3, and let's bring this over 1/3 here. And that should do the trick. All right. So what we see here is Nuxt has compiled here, and then if I open this up at localhost 3000, there you go. Here's my site, and then we have our menu and stuff. This is great. Okay, this is what I wanted. Now the first thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and scaffold the resources page. And so at a high level, basically what we need to do then is inside of the pages directory, and gosh, do I love page level direct, like basically routing, so that I don't have to set up the routes individually. It's fantastic. All right, so here we have learn. Okay, so I have a learn directory, it looks like. Do I want learn/resources? No, I think /resources would honestly just be nice. I don't need to make this terribly complicated. So I'll do a resources.view page, and I think what we'll do is honestly, let's just copy. Yeah, let's copy over the basic layout from schedule, because I think this would be like a good mid ground. So let me go ahead and start by deleting this div here. Let's see, schedule. Okay, schedule here. Great, this is really simple. Let's go ahead and clean this up a bit. Don't even worry about the script setup, and let's go ahead and save. So we have a couple things. See, post content. Oh, it's not happy because I'm missing a div. Okay, so that's that. Okay, great. And then now, oh, it looks like we're going to need to update the navigation. That is going to be a key piece. But before we do that, the one thing I'm trying to get better at with development, and I think that we all can certainly use practice with, is like not getting distracted by other things that we could be doing. So first thing first, I've created a resource page. Let's make sure that it actually works. Oh, resources. That actually makes me realize I should probably make a note to make a redirect from resource so that people don't get bogged down by that. So let me go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Obsidian here, and then let's see, overview of Nuxt sites. So let's see, we've done that. Coding time. So first thing first, we are creating the resource page, but then I want to make sure we create a redirect for /resource. So that's fine. We'll take care of that later. And then we're on the midst of this path. So let's go ahead and jump back in. Okay. So here we go. We have resources here. And then this looks good. And then let's see, paragraph. Let's see a simple description. Find all my content that's been published online here for your convenience. Okay. That looks good. Okay, so we have a basic scaffold, which is nice. So actually, with this, we can just go. Actually, you know what? I do want to make sure. Let's delete the CSS that's not relevant to this. So that's that. Everything still looks good. So let's go ahead and start by just committing that. We've gone ahead and scaffolded a resources page. So feature add resources page. All right, excellent. Now, the next piece we want to do is we want to now think about the, what's the other thing? Oh, I mentioned navigation. So actually, let me add that. So we've created the resources page, add resources to navigation. Okay, so inside of here, how am I doing this? It's funny because did I build the site? I absolutely built the site. Do I remember where everything is? Absolutely, I do not. So let's go ahead and whoops, didn't want to do that. My guess would be to look in layouts first, to be honest. Layouts, app header, okay, components, app header. So then what I'm doing here is, looks like I got a toggle. Oh, am I doing this manually? Oh, this would be interesting. Okay, learn. Okay, so if I go to learn courses. Oh, I have some of my stuff here. Oh, this is good. I did do some of this. Oh, okay. See, this is funny when I'm like trying to rethink these things. Maybe I actually don't even need that benkozen.io/learn. You know what though? I could do a redirect from resources to the learn page, because that way it makes more sense to like let people know ways they can sort of learn, sort of find things that I've created. So in that case, and also that would reduce the need. Is this really your website? Why, yes, it is. It's one of those things where like you don't work on it as much as you think you will for your personal site. So now that I've said it, gosh, I don't think this is really as necessary. I think we can reuse the learn page. I don't even think we need to really worry about. Yeah, this is actually pretty interesting. Okay, so now that I've mentioned that, I'm actually going to go ahead and undo that commit. So I have an alias for basically a git reset, and git nevermind allows me to basically undo the last commit. So now that that's been, I'm just going to go ahead and clear out that file because we don't need it. Okay, well, that makes my life easier. Okay, let's explain what I had originally thought, because this is part of the reason we're solving this problem to begin with, to be honest, is that if I go under the learn page, learn index, you'll notice that everything in here, believe it or not, is hard-coded. And just not ideal, to say the least. So we want to make this stuff dynamic. And we know, right? So I've shown you, I've done the work to at least start to outline all this stuff inside of a Notion database. So at the bare minimum, this is making me think, okay, so how can we like pull this in so that we can use this to populate that data? So at the bare minimum, sort of maintenance becomes a little easier. Okay, so first thing first, I think it's time for us to actually go ahead and dive into the Notion piece of it, because that's the key piece, right? We want to make sure the Notion piece connects properly. So if you go ahead and Google Notion API, this should bring you to developers.notion.com, and this is where we're going to get started. I'm going to go through like a high level of getting set up with the authentication, but we have done this before in a previous stream. So, and I also have a talk on this from Nuxt Nation. So again, one of the things that should be on, like I should be able to point you to. So let's figure that out, shall we? First thing first, as far as getting started goes. Basically, the way it works is you create an integration. So inside of here, for example, I would go ahead and create, let's just create a new one just to show you all. But it'd be like Twitch stream bot, and then you tell it which workspace you want to actually assign it to. So it's important for you to usually have admin credentials when you're doing this. And so then you'll get like a token, which you'll go ahead and add to your environment variables. So I've gone ahead and actually done all that for my workspace so that we don't have to worry about like security codes and that kind of stuff. But just know, this is how I got that stuff. So that's here. But we won't be using the Twitch stream bot. We'll be using Benko's and Notion bot, which I've already created. Okay, so now that this has been set up, we need to actually go ahead and we need to learn how to grab data from the database. And so what I'm going to do here is, if we go to the developer's website, API reference, what we really want to do right now is to just query the database. We want to actually grab data from the database. And it looks like here we're going to be using the Notion HQ client. So what I'm really going to do, to be honest, is I'm just going to copy this. And then what we're going to want to do, though, is we're going to need to make sure that we're doing this on the back end. Because if you do this on the client, then you risk basically exposing keys and that kind of stuff. And so in a perfect world, we would protect that stuff from users. Or sorry, from the public, so that no one can do anything malicious with it. And so the easiest way to do this, actually, believe it or not, is to use serverless functions. And serverless functions is one of those things where I honestly found a bit tricky to get used to at first. But then over time, as I started to get more familiar with it, I realized that it really does make it easier for you to set up like basically a backend process where things are done in a protected environment that then the client can then query. So if we look at, so I think we did on the Airtable episode of one of the Build with Bens, here's an example of us going to fetch data from Airtable. And so we're going to want to do something similar with the Notion endpoint. And so for those who are new to, basically like serverless function, that kind of thing, the way to think of it this way is that you're designing an API endpoint that you want to fetch from. So in like a pure client-side world, right? Let's go ahead and actually just scaffold this out so everyone can be on the same page. So if you take the learn index page, up here, what we really want to do is like when the component is mounted, for example, we would say, hey, I want you to go ahead and fetch from this thing called API/Notion. And then once you get it from Notion, then we're going to take that data and we're going to like basically turn it into JSON, but then we're going to update it like inside of our app so that we can use it later. That's like what we want in a perfect world. And so since Notion has its own set of like APIs and all this stuff, like as far as like sort of like the functionality that goes with it, a lot of times we want it to be quite simple. And so being able to design your own endpoint is what serverless functions allows us to do. So inside of here, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new, basically API endpoint called Notion. And that's all I'm going to call it. And so the way this works is, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and stop the process we're using right now. Because right now, all we're doing is running an npm run dev, which is a local Nuxt environment. And what we want to do now is integrate it with the Netlify CLI. And so here, if I run ntl dev, this will do a couple of things for me. One, oh, let's see. Wait, what? Netlify status? Netlify login. Already logged in. Oh, this is interesting. Failed user not found. Okay, hang on a sec. This is good. We're gonna log in. Okay, something is blocking me at the moment. All right, that's a little bit weird. Okay, so noob dev here. Kind of sad I missed last week's Obsidian office hours. Well, it is actually, I'm gonna be putting it up on YouTube. Today is Tuesday. Tomorrow, the edited version will go live on YouTube. So don't worry. As far as missing out on that, it's not a problem at all. Okay, so for whatever reason, I'm running into a little bit of issue with getting the environment set up. It looks like something is down at the moment. So what we're gonna do then, to be honest, is we're gonna come up with a different way to fix this. All right, so let me make sure internet is good. Oh, actually, okay, this is weird. What is going on? Test mic, am I back? Okay, so that's good. Yep, all right, so let me go ahead and ntl log out, ntl log in, text HTTP error found. Okay, so something is down. Okay, so much for the serverless function approach right now, because clearly something is up. So what we want to do then instead is we're going to go ahead and just learn about querying the database even without all this. So we're actually going to fetch directly, it seems, which is going to be interesting. Okay, here's what we're going to do. So we're going to oh, Discord is down right now. What? Oh, do we have an outage? Oh, this is not great. Okay, not a problem. What we're going to do instead, let me think. All of Discord's API returning 404. Yeek. That's not good. Are we experiencing another one of those? Yep. Okay, got it. So thanks everyone for giving me an update. It looks like some of the internet is having some problems. It looks like it's not localized to just Netlify. It looks like Discord. And if Discord is down, gosh, I can only imagine what other things are being downed or having issues. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna improvise, right? This is a live stream, and so it's okay. We don't have serverless functions right now, but what we can do is kind of do it a bit of the old-fashioned way. So what I mean by that is, let's go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and inside of here, open up a .m file, and we're gonna go ahead and learn about Nuxt config variables. So let's do Nuxt m variables. All right, here we go. Let's see. All right, excellent. So let me go ahead and bump this over to 2/3. Okay. So inside of Nuxt config, one of the things we can do is actually declare basically things that will be available to the build right here. It's called public runtime options and private runtime options. So I don't believe we have any set up right now because I've been managing everything else a bit differently. So, okay, so we have this. This is good. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add public runtime config. Oh, runtime config. And then we have public runtime options. And then here, this is where you can basically define the variables. So, oh, wait. Here we go. env base URL for Nuxt 2.2 public runtime config. Yep. Can you give me an example? That was interesting. Okay, so maybe not. Maybe let me do this. Let me do env, and then let's test this out. Base URL test 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if this works the way I hope it will, ooh, didn't like it. Oh, unexpected token. Sure, I forgot the comma. That makes sense. All right, so going to kick that up. All right, that's good. And then that's starting. Okay, great. So what we should see now is when we want to access it, we should see, let's see, process env base URLs, context API. Yes, I see all that, but how do I... Everything is down today. Well, apparently my stream is still up and Twitch is still running, so we're going to make the best of it and we're going to move forward. So the question here is, with the Nuxt config, now that I've exposed it, my question is, where the heck is it? So if we look inside of here, and we take a look at view here, let's see. Nuxt root is online, is fetching. That's all the state stuff. My question is, where does the M thing show up? That's what I need to know. I need to know where it shows up via the context API. Okay, here we go. Is them. Okay. So we get it in context. Async data. All right, let's go ahead and just get in there. So async data, for those who don't know, is basically a lifecycle hook that gives us some access to the server side of Nuxt. So if this works the way I think it will, when we reload, oh, here we go, actually. Base URL test 1, 2, 3. All right, so we have our answer. We have our ability to get something. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to, let's see, look at the integration. So I see Tahoe here in the chat. Thanks for the question. So I found it. I just want to make sure we had the correct way of fetching the M variable and we're good. So that is working exactly as we expect. So the question here is we want to query a database. And so how does this look? It looks like we have to have the API key. And then we need to go ahead and pass in the Notion API key. Yep. Fetch. Okay. You could also do a post with said query is another way to do this. The only thing that I'm getting a little concerned though is Notion SDK. Typically the SDKs are meant to be run on the back end. They're not meant to be run on like client side. So I'm wondering if this will really work. I think we ran into this last time actually when I was doing this, is I tried to do this purely on the front end and it sort of just broke on me. So I have to think async data runs in the back end. Right, okay, good point. So let's go ahead and just copy this. And let's just, again, we're gonna see. So again, the ironic thing about all this is that I had tested everything and prepped a decent workflow for things. So it's always fun how live coding really puts your skills to the test, to say the least. All right, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna put this up here. We're gonna go ahead and import, switch this over from an import from, and then this should, I don't like this part though. I'm gonna say await Notion. So what if we remove that functionality? And then honestly, I just want to turn Notion itself to the Notion client to the front end. So this won't work right now. It shouldn't, at least. I would be surprised if it did. So we can do the env here so that we get the environment variable. m.notion API key, Notion client. Okay. So yes, I know that the API token is invalid. I haven't given you it. What I do have to do is I got to install the client for Notion, because otherwise that won't even import correctly. And so what I'm going to do real quick, we're going to do this off the screen real quick just to make sure I don't expose anything. But I'm basically going to go ahead and copy the key from here. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Great. Copy. Okay, bring this back over. And then what I'm going to do is in my env environment, I'm going to go ahead and create a Notion API key. And that will be a hash, which I'm going to do off screen real quick. Great. Okay. So now that we have this, we should be able to fetch m.notion API key once we configure Nuxt Notion. So rather than it being base URL, we're going to call it Notion API key. And this will be process.m.notion API key. Yes. So Tahul here with a great point regarding exposing the key on the client side, which could basically be a security risk. My plan is when the rest of the internet gets online, I plan on doing this all via serverless functions. So that stuff will be hidden. So no worries as far as that goes. This will not be how we ship it to production. This is a way for us to experiment and scaffold. But more importantly, I think my goal for this stream is to just show you all sort of working with the complexities of the Notion API response and getting something working. We can always refactor how the data is shared and security things afterwards, assuming things are up and running. So if I go ahead and save this, this means, let's see, we can save. And then actually the env is wrong. It should be this actually. And so if I save that now and we go over here, we can wait. Everything got installed? Great. Everything installed. Let's start it up and running. Okay. All right, excellent. So we refresh this page. And, okay, this is... What do we got? If I go into my view... is it not detecting it? Oh, here we go. Nuxt. Great. If I inspect the data here, we should see inside of Nuxt a Notion property that is returned. Here we go. Notion. Okay, it's an object. It has stuff. This is great. So if this works the way we hope it will, what we want to do is assign a methods that says, let's say, fetch database. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to, okay, apparently I pasted the secret key. Oh, well, I'll recreate the bot later. Not a big deal. So let's go ahead and save this. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Here's an async function. We're going to go ahead and delete the declaration here. Delete the declaration here as well. I think I deleted one too many things. Fetch const database const response. Yes, then fix that. Is that not it? Did I mess it up? I messed it up somewhere. Here. Sort is collapsed correctly. Or is correctly filter. Then, yeah, that looks good. So if I save that here, now we can make this thing async. Save it. I can delete the sort and the filter queries. And then Notion is not defined. That's fine. So we'll do this dot Notion. And then we'll go ahead and log out the response. That's all we're going to do. So this is, okay, looking actually halfway decent. What we need, though, is we need the table ID. So the way we get that is we're going to share here, copy the link. And then let me go ahead and now go into here. And then I'll expand this out so we can see everything. But it's basically this hash, or yeah, this hash after your username. So Ben goes in / that is that. And so again, anyone worried about security things, it'd be fairly easy for me to duplicate and wipe that out. So I'm not concerned. All right, so there's the database ID. We're going to query the database ID, then we're going to log the response. And then to make sure this works, we're just going to add a button here where I'm going to click it, and then we're going to go ahead and fetch the database. Fetch database, save. All right, so if this works, hold on to your butts. We'll see how this goes. Click. Okay, didn't like it. Request has been blocked by CORS policies. Response to pre-flight. Okay. CORS issues. Womp, womp, womp. I just want to test something real quick because if it's up, it would make my life a lot easier. Because like I said, I had it working. Nope, still down. Okay, so it does not like it. Set the request mode to no CORS. I don't think I can do that via this. So this is fun. Okay, here's the thing though. I'm pretty sure there is a you know what though? Hang on. What I could do instead is okay. Let's do this. What if I did it all on the back end here? I even skipped all this. We're gonna go ahead and drop that, drop this, and we're gonna go ahead and await, save. Yes, I know things are broken. That doesn't work. That is bad. Then there's no this context, or just calling Notion directly. What is it not like? It is not happy with something. Query. Yeah. What's wrong with the prettier? Parsing. Oh, got it. Async data. Okay, so I need the async here. Save. Now it's good. Now we can log the response. Okay, mysterious error. Not a problem. We can figure that out. All right, so we're going to go ahead and resources doesn't exist. That's not what I wanted at all. Localhost 3000, that's good. Go to the learn page. Okay, mysterious error. Okay, so it didn't work. Once again, does not like that it's being requested by the CORS. Failed to fetch client object. Zorwick here. Maybe run browser with disable web security to bypass CORS. Yeah, let's see. Disable CORS local host. Force quit. Open Chrome with security. Is there another way to do it? There's got to be another way to do that. I would prefer not to run a command. Advance system. Nope. Chrome disable CORS. Okay, yeah, so it is. I would like did I have an extension for this at one point? I would prefer I'm trying to do things in a way that like prevents me from having to run a Chrome tightens it up too much. Rats. All right. All right, so here we go. It's saying, all right, so here's what I'm gonna do. Open this thing right here. Yep, okay, here goes nothing. So if I open this, Chrome Mac OS, that does not exist. Okay, because it's in applications, Google Chrome, contents, Mac OS is correct. Then we're gonna do, keeps jumping me up to the top, and I apologize for the sirens. Test user data directory temp Chrome dev test. Something did not like that. Something was not okay about that. Oh, but okay, here's the thing though. I shouldn't have to do this though. Like, if I understand, Nuxt does have a way. Let me see something real quick. Directory structure. There's a middleware, the static store plugins, directory, modules, middleware, layouts. Maybe that can be run before rendering a page or a group of pages. So middleware could be nice in this particular case because this would allow us to actually, I'm trying to think. It would allow us to run these things, and then we could do it before we get everything. But in Nuxt 3, there's going to be a server directory, so some of this stuff, I believe, will just go away. So, all right. Let's think. That's clearly not working. Chrome, okay, hang on a sec. Chrome extension, disable cores. All right, let's just try this extension real quick. Worst case scenario, won't really work. Click to access. Okay, so if I'm in localhost, so I don't need this anymore. If I'm in localhost 3000, where is my course thing? Here we go. Pin. Okay, so test cores. Oi, that's not what I want at all. Toggle on off. Here we go. On, off. All right, so it's on. So now that we have that here, will let me reload. Only time will tell. Invalid character. Get could not find database with ID. Hey, oh, this is good. That's a good thing. I can deal with that. Okay, so I think if this works the way I think it did, basically it's saying the ID can't be found, right? And you're probably thinking like, why? Why can't I find it? Well, the reason is because we need to actually share said database with the integration. So I'm gonna click share. I'm gonna add my integration for the Notion bot in here. So now, if all goes well, oh yes, okay, we have something. We can make progress. Okay, so this is exciting. Okay, so this means, again, I guess, big disclaimer, not for this strategy, not for production. This is merely because apparently a bunch of the internet is down, and so we're making do with what we got. So this is the important part anyways, to be honest. So here, if we go ahead and now inspect said the application, we'll see now that if we were successful, we see, okay, response here has a bunch of stuff, and there's a bunch of results. This is great. This is exactly what we wanted. So a couple of things. We have object, we have properties, and type. And then that ID is a little bit odd to me. But then object array default podcast. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and start sorting through this stuff, shall we? First thing first, we need to have courses. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by running an li ul. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Ul. What is that? That was a weird autocomplete. Ul li. We're going to v4 through all the resource in response. And then we're just going to log them out directly. I think that'll be the fastest way to show stuff. Expect to have a v bind directory. Fine. I understand that. It looks like every ID has a key. So resource.id. So we save that. All right. You have stumbled upon a mysterious error. Refresh. Oh, it does not like it. What is it not like? Cannot run a response. I did return a response. Vif response. Vif response. It's saying it can't read the ID. So actually, let me question mark this. Oh, so many things are breaking. It really doesn't like that. All right, it's probably this loop. Yep, it is that loop. Okay, so once again, we have response, funnily enough. And I thought the async data meant it's supposed to be there before it even shows up. So here, if I just spit out response here, this should just show up. Yeah, see? There it is. Why is it not like it? Oh, I know why. Okay, hang on. So like this, it's response dot results. So now if I do that, there we go. Now we have everything we need. Excellent. Okay, this is good. So we need to do a couple of things. One, we need to validate, because right now we're updating courses. So what we're gonna do here is let's go ahead and create a computed property. And more importantly, actually, let's do resource, no, let's do database content. That's gonna be what we're returning. Be very, very clear. And then we're gonna do a computed property on this, where we're gonna say we're gonna want the database courses. I'm just gonna be very specific right now. Database courses, and then we're gonna return this dot database content, and then we're gonna go ahead dot results, because that's how we get this list, and then we're gonna filter basically what's in here. And so for every item in here, we're basically gonna want to check to see if the item has a, let's see. Actually, you know what I forgot you could do? This will make it even easier to read, because I keep forgetting this little trick, which I love that I got introduced through this stream, which is wrapping stuff in pre. That's basically JSON. Although, oh, right, it's not happy because this thing's not finished. Oh, database content hasn't been changed here. That's not going to work anyways. Yes, I know. Okay, so database content, pre-tag for the rescue. Yes, hello, Plan. Yes, Plan is the one who introduced me to that. Although weird, why is it not happy? Property response is not defined on the instance. Oh, of course, it doesn't exist, so you can't see it. That would make sense. I had the v-if on that conditional. There we go. Look at that. Isn't this so pretty? I don't need to log it to the console and explore it at all. So, all right, excellent. We have our computer property here. This is good. And so we want to filter down any item that basically is of type course. So here you can see under type, it is under properties. So we're going to take a look and we're going to return. Actually, you know, I don't even think I need a more complicated thing. It's going to be item.properties, and then we're going to grab this specific type, and if the type dot multi-select, and then includes property, or yeah, I'm going to call it property, where property dot for every item, then every item in this array, property dot name equals course. Gosh, this is a mess. I wonder if this is gonna work. Did not like that. It's better written as, oh, it's gonna yell at me for that. Okay, fine. Happy to do that. I just felt like the casing was a little bit weird, but if you insist. Okay, if this works the way I want it to, oh, actually, we're not going to see any changes right now because we haven't even used it. So now if I go ahead and change this to database courses, this should look better now, I think. Save. Okay, nothing showed up, so I botched it. Oh! View Gilmore here. Looks like Nullify is up again. Okay, excellent. That will help with the refactor. Though apparently I did something wrong. So let me remove that. And then let me throw in here with the pre-tag on database courses. Okay, this is an empty array, which makes sense because this database content results filter for every item, return where the multi-select includes. Maybe this is what I'm doing, because include should be a true false, right? I believe JavaScript includes includes 2. Is there a way to like check the element? Does it take a callback function? Did I mess up? How do I want to do this? I would think that okay, so I was wrong. Includes does not clearly take one. So what it really is you take the multi-select. Oh, this is okay. Never mind. I'm trying to do this all in one line. This is a mistake. I'm not doing this. All right. So first thing we're gonna do, first is we're gonna go ahead and set what the type is, right? So const type equals item.properties dot multi-select. Okay, these are the types that a course can have. So I'm gonna give it I'm gonna say type list, so we know it's more than one thing. Now that we have the type list, the thing is that every object in there has a like it's an object with properties. That's what I'm trying to say. So we could say then course types yes equals type list. Oh, that's what I want, is to find, because if you find it, that's what I want, because I think it's what, like 1 2 3, or let me test this, test Ben, and then 1 2, or and then test hello, and then test Twitch. Okay, that's an array. If we do find for the item, where item.test equals Ben, this should give us the actual item, as it does. Okay, and so if you turn this into a truthy value, say if this, return if this log yes, otherwise log no. Okay, I did not like that. Why did I not like that? Because I did not close it correctly, of course. There we go, we get a yes. And then if we test the item, if we're looking for like Twitter, that should get us a no. Okay, I can do this. Then this does mean that actually I could have really done this inline, one-liner, but it's totally fine. We basically do a return dot type list dot find type, and then for every type in here, we're checking for type.name equals course. That's basically what we're looking for. And then if we return that, that should be a truthy value, which could then search everything. So if I did this correctly, let's close some stuff. I messed something up. Mess quote this. Does not like this. Return this dot results dot filter item. When we take the type list, then we only return items where we can find this stuff. Yeah, why is it not happy? Oh, commas expected? Is that what you're yelling me about? I have a hard time believing that. All right, refresh. Yeah, it did not like that. Closing parentheses. Did I miss the closing parentheses? 1 2. Oh, here. You are right. Okay. Thank you, Plan, for the assist on that. Okay, great. So it looks like here we have our courses. Type course. Then here, type course. Okay, I think we did it. So with that, I can delete this. And then I can do database courses. Save that. And so now inside of courses, we should see this. And so just to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to go ahead and add a resource dot start date. Is there like a name? Here you go. Title. Okay. Properties dot name dot title. These things are so long. Take the first item dot text dot content. Oh, I didn't close it. Save. And then is that better? Launching with composition API, up and running with serverless functions. Great. Create a web application with Vue. Okay. Much, much better. Woo, that was a bit of a stretch. Okay, so we have the ability now to see all this stuff. So let me actually go ahead and delete this. So cool. We have a list of all the courses I've created. And so to verify that this works the way I think it will, if we go ahead and add a new course right now and say test Obsidian course, and then let's just add this to, let's just say this is now on Shop Talk Show, for example. And then we refresh the page. There we go. Test Obsidian course here. Perfect. So this, we have a successful integration as far as this goes. And so what we need to do now is clean some stuff up. So a couple of things. One is the simplest thing that we want to do is we want to make sure we ship something that's useful to people right now. So as far as the UI goes, while it's cool that we're looping through things, this list is not that great. Ideally, what I want to do is actually loop through probably this guide item piece that I have. So let's go ahead and drop this here. I'm a little nervous what's going to happen. And then we're going to loop through all of that. And then we're going to actually, that's fine here. We're going to take this piece here, copy it, and then put it here. And then, all right, here we go. Test Obsidian. Oh, look at that. Oh, that was quite nice indeed. Okay, so this is good. So I can go ahead and delete this list. So clearly the images are kind of broken, but you know what we're going to do? We're just going to go ahead and we're going to ignore the image for now. Let's not even worry about that. So there we go. Test Obsidian course. All right, so one, let me go ahead and delete the Test Obsidian course should be gone now. Okay, this is here. The link does need to change. So now this is where I am going to use the DevTools though. So DevTools, pages, okay, results, yep, item, properties, I believe I call it publish URL, yes, and then URL. Okay, so this means that now the anchor link can be bound instead to resource.properties. Here, actually, this needs to be publish URL like this. Then we can do .url. Okay, that should do the trick. Does not like, what did it not like? What did I mess up? vbind resource.properties on type unknown. Yeah, but I know that it exists. Resource dot, did I not? Nope, that's correctly publish URL. End of an expression. What did I mess up? Yep. Properties. Closing. Nope. That's not it. Resources.properties dot. Yep. Dot properties. Then I pass in the publish URL. Then I access the .url. What did I do? Why is it not happy with this? Double quotes. Oh! Gosh, Zorowick, thank you for the assist. Yep, you're totally right. It's these little things that you just sometimes miss sometimes when you're just staring it in the face. Okay, so if we look at this, hopefully composition API opens up. Excellent. Up and running with serverless functions. Great. Okay, the next thing I'm going to want to do here, this is the platform. So then resource.properties dot, I believe I just call it, I'm going to go with my gut. Platform dot, nope, I can't go with my gut anymore because I forgot. Notion makes it pretty complex to grab what you want. And this is part of the reason, by the way, why designing your own API is nice, is because then you don't have to deal with all this. So if I have time, I'm going to show that. If not, I'll do another one. But here we go. We have our properties. It's on a specific platform. Select name. Okay. So platform dot select dot name. So now if I save this, this should now say Jamstack Explorers as expected. Open classrooms, view mastery, great. This is excellent. The only problem though is this is not sorted by recency. So what we can do here is actually when we grab the query here, we should have a way to actually sort. So let's go ahead and do this real quick. Actually, you know what I'm going to do though before that to make it very obvious? We're going to go ahead and show the date. So I'm going to go ahead inside of here. I believe it's under properties. Then we have the, let's just make sure the end date is what it is. End date dot date. Okay, dot start. Okay. So then what I'm going to do here is inside of this, next to the platform, we're going to add a parentheses here, which will include the resource dot properties dot, not dot, the end date dot start. Okay, I think that should do it. So excellent. Here we go. Now we have that being showing up, but we want to sort it by the most recent. So the way we're going to do this is inside of this query, we should be able to do a sort criteria. So how does the sort work? So we query a database and then we can sort via the property. This is nice, but I'd like you to show me an example, please. Oh, maybe it wasn't an example because I was sort object. Do you have code example? Sort. Filter. Okay, sorts. Oh, sorts is an array, which makes sense because you're saying, okay, so what you're saying here is I'm going to sort the data by these properties one at a time. And so for me, in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and say, we're going to query against this database ID, and then we're going to have a sorts property on it. And the property we're going to want to sort is end date. And then we can leave it as ascending. That is totally fine. So if this works the way I'm hoping it will, if I refresh the page, here we go. You'll see 2019 is at the very top. And then it goes ahead and does this sequentially, which makes sense. But I don't want ascending. I want descending. So if I save that now and refresh, hey, look at that. Progressive Web Apps with Vue 3 is showing up now. Up and running with serverless functions, intro, production grade view. Okay, this is great. We have basically the ability to talk to each other. We actually have the courses now. So the one thing I am going to do though is let's go ahead and I have a repeat down here of of two courses specifically. So we're actually just going to go ahead and I'll worry about the images later, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Notion to also go ahead and manage those images to make my life a lot easier. So if I save this now, this should disappear. I'll worry about the images later. Awesome. So we now have all the courses here that I've created all in one place and in a way that's easily manageable. Because again, one of the things that while Notion has sometimes its trade-offs regarding uptime and some performance things regarding search, like I have found managing data and the ability to really have freedom to compose data in the way that makes the most sense to me really, really powerful. So I'm actually really happy with the way this is turning out. So the first thing we're going to do at this point is I'm going to go ahead and just... All right, so here's what we're going to do. Actually, we're going to go ahead and check out a branch because something is a little bit funny right now. I don't want this to deploy yet. So we're going to do feature. What is the feature? Dynamic resources with Notion. And then here's where we go ahead and commit this stuff. So I'm going to commit package.json. We'll commit this learn piece. That's totally fine. Then we have the lock, and then we have, that's it. So git commit feature add ability to process Notion API. Okay, this is great. In the next 15 minutes, what I'm going to try to do is let's going to switch that infrastructure over because I heard that Netlify might be back up. So it looks like the web might be back online. So we're going to go ahead and see Netlify login. Excellent. This is making me very happy. So let me go ahead and authorize this. Yep. All right. Now we should be excellent. We should be good. So now if I run ntl run dev, hopefully we see a couple of things happening. Okay, here we go. Excellent. So check this out. When I started the Netlify dev, we'll see that our basically our environment variables are automatically injected. So the things I was doing regarding the env variables, that stuff will basically no longer be necessary. So if I come in here, I can go ahead and delete the .env. And then inside of my Nuxt config now, I can go ahead and delete this M because that is now being tracked inside of Netlify rather than at the repo level, which I always found to be a little bit brittle because in the event, I don't know, you accidentally lose your machine. And by lose your machine, I mean something gets wiped or you're switching machines, then you're stuck with like, oh no, I forgot to copy the M file. And being able to manage everything in Netlify and have that like sync across your projects, super, super useful. It's honestly the same argument to why we love having GitHub to manage our code, because as long as we push everything up to GitHub to manage it, we can take any machine as long as we have the authorization to do so. We can fetch everything and we can start over from scratch and basically get back and up and running without any problems. But .m files, gosh, those bit me in the butt so many times with a lot of older teams. That said, I'm ranting a little bit. Okay, so now that we have this in, this should still work, basically. Nothing should have really changed, although looks like something did change a little bit. We go ahead and look inside of console. What did it not like? Oh, I know what it didn't like. We don't have, okay, so I was slightly off. We still need the configuration here. Wait, hold on. Oh, I know why we're not going to need it. I know why. The reason it's broken is because right now inside of our learn page, so if you go to learn index, we're fetching everything directly via the async data hook. And the reason that's not going to work is because we no longer have this environment variable that we were basically being passed. Plan with the troll comment here, just commit the M variable or the M file. If only everyone was never going to use anything for malicious intent and we could trust everyone, by all means committing the M file would be great. But alas, that's not how it is. So, all right, now this lets us jump a little bit different order than I thought, but we're going to go ahead and now actually set up the API that I personally want because, gosh, as you can see, navigating that API response from Notion was rather heavy, and we don't want to deal with that. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to go ahead and let me grab, let me just exports.handler, and then what this is so basically inside of here, this is basically think of it just like a JavaScript function that will return data to you, but it just runs on the node side. So similarly, this is actually very similar to async data that you're probably already familiar working with if you've been using Nuxt. And so as we can see here, Copilot is trying to add a bunch of stuff, but I really want to keep this simple. And I'm just going to say that this API will return a status code of 200 with a body of hello Twitch, right? And so to make sure this works, if now I go over here into my URL and I go to /API/Notion, you'll see, boom, there's my response. Excellent. Now what we want to do is take the Notion stuff we've been doing and drop all of that in here. So I'm basically going to copy all of this right here. I cannot drag and drop. And we're going to go ahead and figure out how to fit it in here. First thing first is that we're in a node environment, so we don't get that ES6 syntax. So we're basically going to do const client equals require client. This is the old sort of syntax for importing modules. And then what we need to do is we need to grab all this fun stuff here, and we're going to need to drop it into our response. So with serverless functions, again, think of it like you have a robot that you get to call. It will go grab things and then return data the way you want it to. You're designing your own API. So rather than here, for example, this env, because we have the ability to actually access the process env, because we're in the backend at this point, we can hit the Notion API key. And so to show you where that's coming from, once again, inside of my terminal, you'll see that Netlify Dev actually injects the Notion API key inside of basically a M file. And so this is the reason why we can basically pull it right here. And so there's my database content. And then here now, all I need to do is json.stringify, because when you're returning stuff from an HTTP call, it's always returned as a string. It's not a complex data type. And so this is where we can do the database content like this. This needs to be an async function because we're awaiting it. There we go. So now if I save this, now if I refresh this page, fingers crossed, let's see what happens. Look at that. That is our massive basically our response from the Notion API. But, and here's the thing though, you're probably thinking like, well, this is the same thing that we just did earlier. Why would we care about that? Well, first thing first, let's make sure this, let's just make sure this works together the way we want it to. So inside of the learn thing, what we're gonna do is rather than do that, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna say, we're not gonna worry about this. And then I believe inside of my async data, I can just say const database content equals fetch. And then we're going to fetch from our API/Notion. And then we're going to take the response and JSONify it. I believe that's what's going to happen. So will this work? Async data has no await. Oh yeah, it will have an await in just a moment. So then we await this here, save. Okay, so if this works the way actually I might be slightly off. I think I did something slightly wrong with the syntax. Oh no, it worked. Refresh. Oh no, only absolute URLs are supported, right. This is because of the way we're doing it locally, but that's okay. So if I do localhost 8888/that, that should do the trick. All right, everything now works exactly as we expect. So we fetch from our API that we just designed, but here's the thing though, we can go further with this. What do I mean by that? Well, so as we saw, there's a lot of cruft inside of this, to be honest. And it doesn't need to be like, we don't need a lot of this data. And what we can do instead is we want something that's a lot smaller, because if we think also about from like processing and performance, right? We really only want the data that's relevant. So in this regard, what I would say is one, we're gonna want to start to pare it down. So for example, I don't need to know that it's an object list. I just want the results. So by simply adding a dot results here, what we'll see is that when we actually return the API response from Notion, or sorry, our custom Notion endpoint, we have customized it to already simplify things down, which means that on our learn page now, we can go one step farther to say that inside of here, we don't need results, because already now we've gotten it that much smaller. So to show you that to prove to you that this works, if I go to learn, you'll see our page still renders exactly as we expect. But we can do even more with this, right? We want to keep this even simpler. And so what we could even do theoretically, let's say we just wanted the courses. Well, the question is that why should we bother filtering that out on the front end? Really, that should be something that the data just passes to us immediately. So what we could do instead actually is we can take all this stuff here that we're computing, and let's go inside of the Notion API, and we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to say, hey, look, we're going to take the const, let's see, I'll say const final results for now. And we're going to take the database content that we fetched here. So await database content. And then once, or actually, I don't think we need to await that. I take that back. I don't think we need that. We'll filter it. We'll grab all the stuff that's courses. And then this is what we're going to return. So then I will return final results, just like that. And then, oh wait, but database content dot results will be necessary because we're dealing with the raw API. So now if we go ahead and refresh this now, you'll notice some of the stuff shifted, and that's because it's shorter now. So even on top of that, we're already seeing, okay, this is actually pretty great because we can see exactly what it is. Like we're only returning what we want. And then we can keep at this, believe it or not. And I could say, let's say I want to go ahead and only map certain properties that I want to this. Because after all, there's no point in like returning all this information. So let's say for the sake of ease, we're going to only return the ID. That's all we're going to return. So ID, which is going to be item.id. If I save this and then we refresh this, you'll see that everything now has been condensed. And this is now the only thing that's being passed to the front end. So the payload is already significantly smaller. But of course, we're not merely just going to do the ID because, well, frankly, there's a lot that we need. So let's simplify our the API response, shall we? We have the ability to, okay, let's see what we need. We need the URL, so I'm going to copy that. We are going to need I already have the ID. We're going to need the name. And we're going to need the platform. And we're going to need the end date. All right, these are the four things our API needs. So inside of this, so this is something out of comment here. This is going to be the final form of data that's needed by the UI. So the ID is going to be item.id. Simple enough. But what else did we have? We had this end date property, right? So I'm going to call this just end date like this. So we're going to take the item.properties and then grab that. And then what else did we have that we wanted to grab? We wanted to grab the platform. So I'm just call this platform. And once again, not resource because we're looping through things. So that's the item. And then we have the title that we have here. So that'll be the title of it. So the item here. And then I think those are the 4 things I tracked, right? Publish URL, that's the last one. So then I can do publish URL, which will be this. And then I can grab that to be item. And then the only thing I need to do real quick now is because I'm a stickler for this kind of stuff, I'm going to rearrange this a little bit so it's slightly alphabetical. I do like ID being at the top, to be honest. So I'm going to leave that out of order. But there you go, EP, yep, okay. Let's watch the magic. Refresh. Ah, there we go. We have everything we need structured exactly the way we want it. And to me, this is what, when I started thinking of serverless functions this way, this is what was like the aha. This is very, very valuable because now, even though we don't have access to Notion as far as like, we're not going to go request Notion to create a custom API for us. And we're not going to do all that. But what we can do is design our own APIs by interfacing with a third-party API through our serverless functions. And by this, we ensure basically the optimal API for our app without worrying about what the backend is doing, which to me is awesome because it allows us to iterate. So all of a sudden now, when we look at what we're looping through here, I no longer need all this crazy stuff. I just need publish URL. And then all this resource, nope, it's going to be resource.title. And then all of this becomes resource.platform. And then this part becomes resource.enddate. And so now, if we go back to our learn page and refresh, uh-oh, it did not like something. Where am I getting type? Uh-oh. Oh, type here. Oh, yes, right. I'm not using that computer property more. I'm just using database content. So that makes sense. Database content. So now let's refresh. Here we go. Look at that. And with that, everything works exactly as we want now because we have the ability to fetch from our API. We have the ability now to basically use exactly the variables we want. The API is structured exactly as we want. And so going forward, all I need to do if I want to augment things and like add specific properties, I can come in here and do that. And this way, I've honestly abstracted away the complexity of the Notion API, which to me is one of the most powerful things about basically using serverless functions is making the backend a lot easier to interface with the front end. Because as we saw earlier, that having to have to do resource, that properties, that this, that, it's a lot of computation and also honestly, it's a lot of mental hurdles. Right? It's nice to go, here's the structure of the data you're going to get. This is what you're going to use. Yes, the backend, for example, right? The criticism is actually not with Notion's API because they're trying to provide you basically all of the API they're using in order to render and recreate Notion. So you need to know the type. You need to know like what kind of block it is, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes to just fetching down data, you want simplicity is, in my opinion, like the name of the game. And serverless functions let us really do that. And so I think the final bit of cleanup I actually want to do is rather than call it just Notion, I'm just going to call it API/courses. That's actually what I'm going to call it because that's all this API is really doing is fetching down the courses. So I'm going to go ahead and I think this is all I need to do. This localhost is not going to work. So what I need to do is, I forgot, I need to do something here. So let me go ahead and start by this. Let me save. And let's go ahead and let's update stuff. So this was a refactor. Use serverless functions to manage Notion API call. And then the other thing about the async data function piece that we saw the error with actually is that you need it to actually have an absolute URL because if you think about it another way, when it's running in the browser or on the node, it doesn't have the browser context. So relative paths don't work. And so what I am going to do here is we need to do a process env node dev because we basically need to find out whether or not we're in development or production. And so that's not what process.env. Okay, this is it. Okay. So if this works the way I think it will, what we're going to want to do is inside of our Nuxt config, turns out we're going to actually need this piece. For the environment variable, we're going to say base URL. And then we'll say basically if the environment for node env is production, then we're going to use the HTTPS, actually just as it predicted here, actually, bencodezen, but not .com. We're going to do .io. This will be the base URL. And then otherwise, we're going to use the localhost 8888. So that's what we're going to do for the base URL. And so to sort of complete this then is that we're going to pull the env variable from the context, and then we're going to turn this path into a ES6 template literal, so we can put the m.base URL here. And so that should do the trick. If I go ahead and refresh this page, oh, right, I took it down. So here we go, ntl dev. We should see that it actually updates everything correctly. Fingers crossed. Ooh, functions not found. What did it not like? Oh, right, of course. Because I don't call it Notion anymore. So here we go. Go to learn. Hey, look at that. There you go. Progressive 3 up and running serverless. And here's the date. And yeah, so it looks like everything is working as we anticipated. This is going to basically provide the backbone for me to start doing some other pieces as far as making sure that there are courses and all the videos or stuff. And then because everything will be in a JSON basically format that I can work with, this also means that we can add filtering and all that fun stuff, but only so much time in the day. And to be honest, I'm very grateful that we even got this up and running, considering the internet was apparently down for, I don't know, a good 30 minutes on the stream. So very, very happy that everything is back up and running now. So with that, actually, since it is running, I'm going to go ahead and let's commit this refactor. So git push, let's see, feature add, or this is a refactor technically. Refactor use m variable to manage base URL for absolute path. And then with that, I can check out main, git checkout main, and then I can merge this feature into it. We can push it, and then I can delete the branch that we just created, so we don't need it anymore. And then that's that. So if you're looking for the source code again, my entire site is open source, so you can go ahead and check it out, poke around. But yeah, so with that, let's go ahead and wrap up. Go on over to let's start wrapping things up for today. All right, so with that, today we've actually been quite productive. We went ahead and got inside of the Nuxt project that is my website. We've gone ahead and integrated the Notion API so that we've able to fetch data from Notion, but manage everything through it via CMS. And so, but we also saw that, well, the Notion API is rather complex. There's a lot of properties and things to navigate. So rather than force a developer to have to remember that every single time or navigate through that object structure, we're just going to pull the stuff that matters most to the developers. And that's honestly, to me, the most powerful thing about serverless functions, which is what we got to play with as well today, thankfully, because everything was working as expected. So with that said, I think that is a wrap for today. We're going to go ahead and I think we're going to go ahead and rate Jason and see what he is up to. But in the meantime, thanks everyone for your help today. The pairing has been super helpful. And once again, so as far as the rest of the streaming schedule for the week, there'll be another Obsidian office hours on Thursday. And the topic will be on the Obsidian Buttons plugin, which I've been really excited to play around with. So if you're excited and want to nerd out about Obsidian or have productivity questions, Thursday is the day to come hang out. So looking forward to seeing you all then. But otherwise with that, thanks so much everyone for hanging out. It's been an absolute blast and hope you all have a wonderful week. Talk to you all later.